Almost nobody with a Norman surname is descended from a Norman. Warren, Beaumont, Mallet, Mowbray, Gifford. Those are 5 of the 7 names that still survive from the 15 men who can be proven by name to have been at Hastings in 1066, written down by a chaplain and stitched into a tapestry before England had surnames at all. They are on mailboxes, they are on driver's licenses, they are on shop fronts, and on a town in Leicestershire that most people know for pork pies, and most people carrying them have no idea. 7 names, counting down to the one carried by the most living people today, so watch for your own as we go. And here is the rule that decides every single one of them. The record settles it, not the spelling. Number 1 has 3 separate origins competing for it, and the likeliest one involves rabbits. Number 7. The name is Grandmaise Neil. Open the Domesday Survey of 1086 at the borough of Leicester and count the houses. There are 322 of them. Hugh de Grandmaise Neil holds 190. The king holds 39. He had been given 100 manors for his service, 65 of them in Leicestershire, and he was Sheriff of Leicestershire and Governor of Hampshire. He died at Leicester on the 22nd of February in 1098, 6 days after taking a monk's habit, and his body was packed in salt, sewn into the hide of an ox, and carried across the channel by 2 monks to the Abbey of St. Evroul. His son Ivo mortgaged Leicester to Robert de Beaumont for 500 silver marks to pay for a crusade, died abroad, and Beaumont kept all of it. So what is left of the name in Britain? Almost nothing. Meynell, Menel, Menel, Meynell, a few dozen people, and here, honesty matters more than a good story. Mark Antony Lower's Patronymica Britannica of 1860 passes along a claim that the Meynells of Horcross were supposed to be descended from Hugh de Grentmesnil. The Oxford Dictionary of Family Names in Britain and Ireland derives Meynell instead from any of the many French places called Mesnil, or from a Germanic female personal name, Magenhild. Mesnil simply means a country estate, supposed to be as a Victorian phrase, not a record, and we watched the Victorians do exactly this to a lock of Isaac Newton's hair. If it is your name, your ancestor either lived on an estate or descended from a woman. The next name survived perfectly well. Its bloodline did not. Number 6. The name is Mowbray. In 1088, Geoffrey de Montbray, Bishop of Coutances, burned the city of Bath and ravaged Somerset in rebellion against William Rufus, and submitted before the year was out. Orderic Vitalis said of him that he knew more about marshalling soldiers in the field than about teaching clerks to sing. He held some 280 English manors. His nephew Robert became Earl of Northumbria, rebelled in 1095, was besieged at Bamberg, and was imprisoned for the rest of his life. He ended his days as a monk. Pope Paschal II annulled his marriage, and his lands and his former wife both went to Nigel d'Aubigny. The name today is Mowbray, Mowbray, Mowbray. It is also Melton Mowbray, where the family fixed its name to one of its fiefs, and the town has carried it ever since. And here's the part nobody puts on the family crest. Roger, the man who carried the name forward, was d'Aubigny's son by a different wife, and Henry I instructed him to take it. Every Mowbray after that point, including the Dukes of Norfolk and the man Shakespeare puts on stage in Richard II, descends from an instruction rather than from Robert de Mowbray. The name comes from Montbray in the Manche. Mont, the hill. Hold on to that syllable. If it is your name, the likeliest story is a family that was told to use it. The next name is an insult about somebody's face, and the family kept it for 900 years. From here, the names stop being rare and start being common. Number 5. The name is Gifford. William of Poitiers, chaplain to Duke William, names Walter Gifford, Lord of Longueville near Dieppe, in his list of those present at the battle. 20 years later, the Domesday Commissioners wrote down Walter Giffard holding land in Cambridgeshire. He held across many shires, and Earldom of Buckingham came with it, and the name traveled with the land. Gifford, 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 Giver, Jefford, Jefford. Honest note, and it matters. The Oxford Dictionary gives 2 origins and refuses to choose between them. One is a Germanic personal name built from gebi, meaning gift, and hard, meaning brave. The other is the Old French word Gifford, meaning chubby-cheeked or bloated, from Giffel, the jaw. Roquefort's Dictionary of the Romance language glosses the feminine form as jowly, and also as a kitchen servant. The 19th century editor of the Battle Abbey Roll objected that such a nickname could not conceivably have been given to a powerful Norman noble, which is a strange objection from a culture that called its own Duke William the Bastard. And there is a second problem underneath the first. Broughton Gifford in Wiltshire takes its name from an Old English personal name and a ford. Same spelling, English river crossing, no Norman anywhere in it. If it is your name, your ancestor may be remembered for their cheeks. The next 2 spellings are identical, and they come from 2 different countries. We are past halfway, and every name from here touches millions. That is why the list runs in this order. The rarer the name, the cleaner the record. The commoner the name, the more origins are fighting over it. By the time we reach number 1, the record will have 3 answers and no way to pick between them. Number 4, the name is Mountford. In 1159, the pipe rolls of Kent record Ralph de Munford. In 1242, the fine court rolls of Kent record Simon de Mumford. In 1273, the 100 rolls of Norfolk record Adam de Mundiford. Behind all 3 stands Hugh de Montfort, Lord of Montfort-sur-Real in the Eure, named by William of Poitiers among those at Hastings, Mont again, and Fort, the strong hill. The name spread through the Midlands and settled hardest in Staffordshire. Montford, Montfort, Mountford, Mountford, Mumford, Munford, Munford, Manford, Minford. And here the record does something worse than lie to you. It shrugs. The Oxford Dictionary states that the early forms of Mountford are indistinguishable from those of Munford in Norfolk. Munford is Munda's Ford, an Old English personal name and a river crossing. There is still a village called Munford, near Thetford. 1 spelling, 2 origins, a Norman fortress, and a Norfolk stream, and not one clerk in 400 years wrote down which one he meant. We ran into the same wall with the shawl. The record settles it, not the spelling, and here the record declines to settle anything at all. The next place on this list changed its name because the old one was too disgusting to keep.
Number 3. The name is Beaumont. On the 14th of October in 1066, on the right wing at Hastings, a young man went into battle for the first time in his life. William of Poitiers writes that Robert, son of Roger of Beaumont, was still young, that he commanded a troop on the right, and that he attacked with a bravery worth remembering permanently. He became Count of Moulins and first Earl of Leicester, one of the most powerful people on either side of the Channel. He is also, if you were paying attention at number 7, the man who took the entire Grandmesnil inheritance when Ivo failed to come home. Beaumont, 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 Beeman, Bayman. Now the honest part. Beaumont means beautiful hill. That is the whole of it. There are 5 places called Beaumont in Normandy alone, more elsewhere in France, and places so named in Cumberland, Lancashire, and Essex. The Essex one spent centuries being called Fuel Pit, which means foul pit, until somebody renamed it in the 12th century. So an English village, literally known as the Foul Pit, has been producing people surnamed Beaumont for 800 years. The surname today is most common in Yorkshire, which is not where the Earls were. If it is your name, you are named after a hill, and the hill did not fight anybody. If you have made it this far, subscribe now. Number 2 is the only name on this entire list with a proven, unbroken male line back to 1066, and it probably comes from a woman named Maud.
Number 2. The name is Mallet. On the evening of the 14th of October, in 1066, in the Duke's camp, Harold's body was handed over for burial. William of Poitiers records that it went to William, surnamed Mallet, and not to Harold's mother, who had offered the body's weight in gold for it. William Mallet came from Graville-Saint-Honorine in the Seine-Maritime. His son Robert Mallet held the honor of Eye in Suffolk at Domesday in 1086. And here's the thing promised earlier. Of the 15 men who can be proven present at Hastings, descent in the male line down to the present day can be traced from exactly one of them. This is him, one line out of 15 out of the thousands who crossed. And it still does not mean what you want it to mean. The Oxford Dictionary gives the usual source of the English surname Mallet as the Middle English personal name Malot, a pet form of Maud or Matilda, with a small diminutive ending on the back of it, a woman's name. The famous alternative, that Mallet comes from the Latin for with the hammer because of the way he was said to club his enemies, is flagged in the reference works as possibly a later invention, made up to explain a name whose real source may simply be Mallet, a pet form of Malo. Half of you are about to be disappointed, on purpose. One line runs to Hastings, yours almost certainly runs to Maud. Number 1 is the name people are surest about, and it is the one most likely to have belonged to somebody who looked after rabbits. Number 1, the name is Warren. At the siege of Pevensey in 1088, William de Warenne took an arrow and died at Lewes on the 24th of June. He was buried beside Gundrada in the chapter house of the priory he had founded. That should have been the end of it. It was not. In the 1840s, engineers cut the railway to Brighton straight through the priory site, and the workmen turned up 2 lead caskets with the names inscribed on them. The bones were moved to a parish church at Southover. 900 years of aristocracy, disinterred by a railway contractor. William of Poitiers names him at Hastings. He held the Rape of Lewis, then land across 13 counties, with castles at Lewis, Reigate, Castle Acre, and Conisbrough, and the earldom of Surrey in 1088. Warrens. At the United States Census of 2010, roughly 152,000 people carried Warren, ranking around 181st in the country, and England holds about 12% of the world's Warrens. Every entry so far answered one question. Does the record connect this name to 1066? This one cannot be answered because the record gives three answers at once. Habitational, from La Varenne in the Seine Maritime, the river the earls were named for. Occupational, from the Middle English word warrener, the keeper of a warren, which is a fenced enclosure for breeding rabbits and hares, and which is recorded as a surname by the late 13th century. And a personal name, the Germanic warren, meaning guard. On population alone, most warrens are from the rabbits, so here is what a surname actually measures. Gregory Clark and Neil Cummins traced Norman surnames taken from the Domesday Book, names like Baskerville, Darcy, Mandeville, Montgomery, Neville, Percy, and Talbot, through the records of Oxford and Cambridge from 1170 to 2012. Those names were still roughly 25% overrepresented at those two universities in 2010 to 2012. Your name tells you nothing about your ancestor. It tells a statistician something about a population, and you are not a population.
None of these people were founding a surname. They could not have been. Hereditary surnames did not exist in England when they landed. The first one legally recognized in England appears in 1267, 201 years after Hastings, and the process was not finished until around 1450. Every name on this list became a name after everybody on it was dead, handed out by clerks who needed a way to tell two Roberts apart, and taken from whatever was nearest. 7 names. 3 of them describe a hill. 1 describes a country estate. 1 describes a face. 1 is probably a woman's pet name. 1 is a rabbit enclosure. 15 men proven at Hastings, 1 proven male line, and 629 names on a roll that a monastery appears to have been quietly editing for 2 centuries. Chasing a single provable line through 900 years is the same job we did with Columbus, and it ends the same way, with fewer answers and better questions. So tell me 2 things: where you are watching from, and 1 surname you want decoded next. Any name, any origin. It does not have to be Norman, it does not have to be English, and it does not have to be your own. The next list gets built out of the replies, so put it down there. And to the people still here at the end, you are the ones who wanted the real answer instead of the flattering one. That is the whole channel. Next time, the question the comment section keeps asking: what the records actually say about the names on the losing side at Hastings. Subscribe, and I will have it for you.